All right, everyone. It is Sunday again. I'm back home. It is 100 degrees, yeah, and it is 4:27. I have a lot to uncover here because my son's last Sunday here for guitar lessons is next weekend. And so I'm like, what do I do? Do I just talk about one or do I bring it all together? Because it's a lot. It's a lot. Before I get into it, let me start with some small talk. We went to San Antonio last weekend. Around this time, we were already on our way back. We got here about 5:30, I believe. Yep, it was about 5:30. And we had our ups and downs, there were some fails and there were some good things. We didn't do very much because it was such a short time. We left Friday morning. We got there around 1 on Friday, which you would think, well, that's plenty of time. But we got there, we ate something at a Chinese restaurant. It was actually pretty good. It was a hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurant. And at first we were kind of like, do we really want to eat here? But no, it actually came out, everything was so good there. We couldn't believe it, And then by that time, we finished up around 2:30, so we took off the opposite direction to get to the hotel where we were staying at. The hotel that we stayed at was a Drury Inn on Northwest Medical Center. And by the time we got there, it was like 3 o'clock, and a lot of people were starting to get there already to check in. I guess that's the standard check-in time, We were second in line, though, and there were some people behind us. And that's when I found out that they charged an extra fee. I went through Expedia. Let me put this down really quick. I went through Expedia to reserve the room for 2 nights. And first of all, Expedia says that the price includes taxes. Baloney. It does not. Because when I checked out, it charged me $40 of tax. Okay, I know it's no biggie, right? But why are you saying that the price includes taxes and then yet you're going to charge me taxes upon checkout? So anyway, we still got it anyway. So, I reserved the room. And then the person checking in front of us, I noticed that the lady told him, what is she, the concierge or the reception or the whatever, the person, the staff member there, she says to him, there is a $50, what does she call it? Deposit, security deposit, there you go, in case there's any damages or, something. And so he went ahead and paid that. Then when at the first I thought, well, surely that's just for something different, because he's checking in person. He didn't reserve the room, so maybe that's why. But no, once it was our turn, she turns around and she says to me also, there will be a $50 deposit, and for security purposes, And I'm just like, what? So aside from charging me $40 more in tax, Expedia, they are charging me $50 now extra at the hotel. Now, there is a plus side to that. You do get it back upon checkout. Well, it depends on your bank, right? But they'll release the funds the day that you check out. So even if you check out on a Sunday like we did, they release the funds on that day. And the rest depends on your bank and how many days it takes to get it back. We got ours back this past Friday. And we checked out on a Sunday. So, yeah, that makes sense. And you get it back if everything checks, right? And if you don't order anything from their little store that they have there, any snacks or drinks, then they won't deduct it from there. But we didn't, because this hotel, let me tell you, they provided breakfast and dinner. Now the dinner was nothing extravagant, but hey, It was free, and it held you over, and it kept you from having to do that additional expense of having to go out to dinner. There was a restaurant next door called the Embry, I think. I think it was Embry or Embers, something like that. It looked really good. I looked it up, and I told the husband, let's go to that. You know, we need to go to that. Well, we didn't get to because, like I said, well, let me get to this part first. We get to our room. It smelled really clean. It is a old hotel, so it's not luxurious. It is semi-luxurious, I guess. It is old. The elevators took forever to come down. It didn't take forever to go up. We were on the 3rd floor, but it did take forever to come down. There was kind of a little musty smell near the elevators, you know, and I think that was it. Like they weren't the best elevators. Okay, so we go upstairs to our room. We walk into the room. It smells super clean. I mean, it smells nice and fresh. Like they just cleaned that room. The sheets were white. They smelled clean. You know, everything. The bathroom was very clean. Everything was super clean. The carpets, I wouldn't trust very much. It seemed kind of like they've been there forever, you know, since day one. So, yeah, I kept my socks on, which you always should. It doesn't matter where you are. You should always keep your socks on when you're walking on carpet, right? Because you don't know how many feet have traveled through there. But anyhow, yeah, I really liked it. Now, there was a small, tiny little bug on the bed Friday night. Yeah, that Friday night when we were getting ready to go to bed. But that was the only one. And I did check the bed, by the way. I make sure there were no bed bugs or anything like that because I'm all paranoid about that stuff. And so, you know, we went downstairs to have the dinner. The dinner was from 5:30 to 7, both Friday and Saturday. And breakfast was from 7 to 10. And the breakfast was a standard breakfast. Your waffles, your eggs, your sausage, potatoes, gravy, and biscuits. I think they had oatmeal, although I could never find it. They had your orange juice. They had your coffee, which I loved. They had decaf and caffeinated. What else? I think that's all. No bacon, you know. But the breakfast, the standard breakfast, was the same every day, you know. Well, while we were there for the weekend. Now, dinner Friday night was chicken fajitas, black beans, street corn. There were some nacho chips, some nacho cheese. They had some tomato soup, which I got as well. And they had a salad. I didn't have enough room for the salad. I ate all of that, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so full. Like I said, it's not an extravagant dinner, but it's something to feed you for free while you're there. And you don't have to go out to dinner. And, oh yeah, they had a soft drink machine. Fountain drinks, you know. They had Coke, Dr. Pepper, and I forgot what else, Sprite. They had water in there too, and they had ice. So you just get your little cup, you fill it up. Oh, another thing that included was 3 free drinks per person. I had never heard of that. I thought it was 3 drinks for the both of us. No, it's per person. I can have 3 drinks. He can have 3 drinks. And these drinks can be wine, a mixed drink, or beer. You know, whatever you want. The bartender wasn't the best. He did not know how to make a vodka cranberry very well. I think there was more cranberry than vodka, but hey, you can't complain. It's free. The wine was excellent. I had a pink Moscato. Now, they don't have a wide range, so don't think this is like a full bar, you know, but hey, it's something. He just saved us, what, like $10 for a mixed drink right there, you know? The husband had 2 beers, I had a pink Moscato, and then I had a vodka cranberry. The next night, what did they have the next night? Oh yeah, pulled pork sliders and pork beans. The nachos were out already. There was way more people this time. And then we got there really late because there was a mix-up on the time with the husband. And I don't think they had salad that time, but they did have chili. They had chili, and I got a little bowl of chili. And then, of course, I got my drinks. Now, that night, I did not want any alcohol at all. I was already getting a bad headache. Whew, for everything that we did Saturday. Okay, first off, on Friday, we went to bed early. We were so tired. And the husband had just gotten home Wednesday. And he is a truck driver, so he drives most of the time. So he was tired. I was tired from cleaning the apartment before we left and all the other things I was trying to take care of before we leave, so that I didn't have a big mess when I got back. Well, that was a fail there, because the time that we got back, my son had already made a mess everywhere, you know, and didn't clean up and stuff. And so, anyhow, Saturday we woke up early. We had breakfast. We went back to the room for a bit, and then we got ready. We took off to go get my husband's older son. So we had to drive all the way over there to get him, and then from there we went to this Trader's flea market that the husband was just so excited about. And I was kind of like, a flea market? And I came all the way to San Antonio for a flea market, you know. But then I was just like, well, I did hear one that was really good and really nice and really huge. And that's the husband kept emphasizing, it's huge, it's huge. You need 2 days to go through the whole thing. He did not tell me that it was outdoor. I thought it was an indoor flea market, not outdoor. I don't like outdoor flea markets. Whatever. We went, right? And so we get there. It was $6 to park, which I thought was really high. You know, over here the flea markets are like 50 cents to get in. No, not there. It was $6. I'm like, all right. So we paid the $6 to get in. That was per car, right? It didn't matter if you had people in it, how many people. But there was only 3 of us. So we park, we get down, we go inside. Immediately, the husband and his son were looking for a beer barn of some sort. And I'm like, it's not even 12 o'clock yet. Come on now. And we're walking around, and then I noticed, hey, half of this flea market is closed. We just paid $6 to come in, and half of it is closed. What the hell? You know, like, they should have charged us less. You know, they're not even offering all the vendors here, you know. There was this one place that I walked into that I thought, oh, this is cute, you know, like, they had some like religious stuff outside, you know, some crosses and stuff, some necklaces with a cross. And I was like, let me check this place out. Let me go in. Well, once I walked in, to the far left, there was Blasphemous right there. They had statue upon statue of Blasphemous. They had Satan himself. They had upside down crosses. You name it, they had it. I hauled it out of there. I was like, oh, no. I need to leave from here fast. So I got out. The husband and his son were waiting for me outside. So he was like, did you find anything you liked? And I was like, no, I want to get out of here, please. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go further down. You know, let's walk. Let's just keep walking. And he's like, why? What happened? I go, let's just keep walking and then I'll tell you, you know. Oh, yeah, and they had that Santa Muerte, that death. Well, what is it? The Grim Reaper. In Spanish, Santa Muerte. I don't know. She's worshipped by a lot, you know. they had her in there too, and that was another thing that made me rush out of there. So anyhow, we kept walking, and there were many stores just like that. Other stores, they had like really nice flags on wood that you can tell were like handmade by someone, but it wasn't them. You could tell they were ordered from somewhere, and these people were selling them for $35, and it was small. It was like geez, I can't even, I should have looked at the size, but it wasn't even big, very big, but they wanted 35. Now the bigger ones were 75 and up. I thought, this is ridiculous. You know, you didn't even make this, and you're asking that much for it. You know, they did have some nice furniture though, some rustic furniture. They had a really nice bar for like $80 that I was ready to buy it, and then my husband was like, where are you going to put it? Are you going to carry it home? Because it's not going to fit in your car. I'm like, you know, and so I'm like, great. Maybe next time we go, we can take the truck so that we can look for that little bar or something similar to it, and we can bring it home with us, you know. Now, all of a sudden, it started raining. And I was like, great, wonderful. By that point, one of the bars was open. They went in there for their beer. I just kept sipping on my water. They kept trying to push me to get something. I was like, I don't want anything. The last thing I want to do is dehydrate. It is so hot. It was still hot. Even though it was raining, it was still hot. And I'm like, I don't want to dehydrate out here. Like, no, I'm going to keep drinking my water. I will drink later, you know. So at the end, you know, the husband was really disappointed. He really wanted to walk around and see all the vendors, but only half of the flea market was open. And we couldn't understand why, you know. We were like, were we too early, or they just didn't have enough vendors? What's going on here? Excuse me, let me get some water really quick. And so we decided to leave. We were all disgusted, you know. I felt disgusting. I was already drenched in sweat. You know, I was wearing jeans, and I'm like, you did not tell me it was outdoor, or I would have worn shorts. Anyway, I said, that's fine. You know, I'll look for some shorts wherever else we go next. We decided to go to the Riverwalk. The husband's never been. I was there many years ago. You're talking about back maybe 10 years ago that I was there. And it was totally different this time. Before, when you would walk around, everything was down there. Now, everything is up. You have to go indoors. Nothing is really outdoors anymore other than the river and the boats that you can take, which do cost extra. I think they're like $35 a head to get on there. And yes, they do charge for children. Not that I had any, but, you know, they do charge for the children. And anyhow, we're like, no, we'll just walk around. Why are we going to, like, go take a boat, you know? So we went inside first. We went to, we got a chair massage, which screwed up both of our backs. The husband got one, I got one, and the man that was doing me, he was really pressing on the sciatic nerves on both sides. I had no sciatic nerve problems. I ended up with both sides hurting bad afterwards. But I walked through it, you know? I was like, I pushed through, walking through the pain. Eventually it started to subside, but to this day I can still feel it on my left, and I've never had problems before, and I'm really pissed off about that. I hope he didn't mess anything up on my back. And then the husband was even in more pain as well on his shoulders. So he was disgusted with the Riverwalk at that point, and then he kept insisting, let's eat here at some kind of taco place, you know, like a taqueria, but not exactly. And I'm like, no, it's best that we eat somewhere else. If you want food, I think we should wait till we leave and go somewhere else to a better restaurant, because it is really expensive here. No, we're here now, let's eat here. He wanted tacos, okay? He wanted those street tacos. Okay, well, for 4 street tacos, it was $12. Yes, 12 small street tacos. I mean, 4 small street tacos was $12. You got nothing on the side. There was no cup of beans, no potato, just the tacos itself. That's it. Now, they did have some lettuce. They did have some avocado, which was extra. They had sour cream. They had, your little fixings if you want it. But $12. He got one order. His son got the other order. I was like, I don't want those tacos. They don't look appealing. I'll get the flautas. The flautas were $14 for 4 flautas. When we sat down to go eat, and once again, you got no potato, you got no beans, and you got no drink. This was just for the plates themselves. Came out to like $36. We went to go sit down. I still have my water. I'm like, I'm good. That's fine. Whatever. And when I started eating, let me tell you, they tasted like they had been sitting there like since yesterday. You know what I mean? And I'm like, these are not even fresh. I thought they were fresh. What the F? And they have people cooking in the back. I don't know what the heck they're cooking because it wasn't this food up front, They didn't like their tacos either. The son decided, you know what, Dad, do you want a beer? Yeah, okay. Moon, you want anything? And I go, yeah, I'll take a margarita. So that margarita, I got it on the rocks. It took over 20 minutes for this girl, a young girl, a bartender, to make that margarita on the rocks. I don't know if it took her 20 minutes because she had to look it up on how to make it. But either way, it sucked. It didn't even taste like a margarita by the time I got it. I mean, she must have added just a splash of tequila or something because, yeah, I was like taking little sips. Like, where is the tequila? Where's the what do you call it? That other stuff that you add in there? I forgot what you call it right now because I'm trying to hurry up. Where is that? All I tasted was lemon, like lemon water. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't know how much he paid for the drinks. I didn't ask him. But by this point, the son was disgusted with all of that, And he's like, well, is your margarita at least good? Oh, I know why. Because his son had ordered a michelada, but with a flavor of pepino. Yeah, I think that's what he said, pepino. And he said, yeah, I'll get that because it sounded refreshing. Pepino usually means cucumber in English. Well, no. This was not made with cucumber. He said it was made with pickle juice. And I'm like, that is not what pickles are in Spanish. I don't know. I didn't check, but no, that doesn't sound right to me. Usually people will say pepino for cucumber, not pickle juice. Like, what the heck? So he was struggling to drink his drink. And then he asked me, hey, Moon, how's your margarita? Is your margarita at least good? Do you like it? And I was like, no. In fact, right now, right before you asked me, I was thinking, I'm looking at the girl and I'm thinking, could you not make a margarita to save your life? Like, what kind of bartender are you? Like, you're fired, We were all disgusted with that. And especially the husband by this point, and he's like, let's go now. And I'm like, husband, we still have to walk around the Riverwalk. You haven't seen everything. Let's walk around. No, I want to go now. I hate it here. This was my first time here, and this is my last time here. I never want to come here again. All right, so we get in the car. We parked in the parking garage. Had to pay $10 for that. And we left. And so the son suggested, hey, would you all want to go to the North Star Mall? And we're like, yeah, sure. I've always heard about that mall. I've never been. Let's go. It is a 3-story mall. And there is a lot to see. You do need a lot of money. And I was impressed, but then I wasn't when I noticed that there were a lot of eyes, if you know what I mean. It wasn't the safest mall. There were a lot of people there, and you really needed to watch your belongings closely to your body. And if you bought anything, which we did, my husband got me a gift from Victoria's Secret, which was some body sprays and creams. There were people even eyeing that. So when I mean eyes on you, that's what I mean. There were people just looking for an opportunity, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we didn't want to even continue walking around there. We decided to leave. We left. We dropped his son off. We went back to the hotel. We had dinner there, and then we went back to the room. By that point, I had already showered and changed. I couldn't wait to get out of my clothes. We went back to the room. Then we changed into our night clothes, and we just spent the rest of the night in the room. We didn't even want to go anywhere else. His other son called, and he's like, "Hey, I'm getting off of work at 7. You all want to go out for dinner?" And we're like, no, we're sorry. We're just like super tired. That day, we walked about almost 11,000 steps. I kid you not. I loved walking, though. I love walking. But yeah, it was taking a toll on our backs because of those ugly massages we got, So, we just told his younger son, like, no, we're so sorry we missed you, but, we'll see you in the morning. So, in the morning when we woke up, when we had breakfast, it was already checkout day. So we had breakfast, we went back to the room for a little while again. We got all our stuff together, and then we went downstairs to check out. Then that's when we went to the wildlife zoo. That made up for everything. If you all are ever in the San Antonio area, I highly recommend the wildlife, what is it called? The Wildlife Zoo Ranch. And it's right next to the caverns. We were trying to decide, do we see the caverns or the zoo? Because we were short on time, and we wanted to see something exciting before we came back home. We chose the zoo. We will never regret that decision. I looked up the caverns after. I talked to my brother who's been to the caverns and my sister who has been to the caverns, and both of them said it's not even worth it. Don't even bother. The zoo was way better. You made a better choice there. I said, okay, great. It was, talk about a glimpse of heaven. That's what it felt like at the zoo. I have never been so close to animals in my life, to those wild animals. Never in my life. I've been to like places like the Gladys Porter Zoo that we have here in Brownsville. But it's different. It's way different. The lions are behind a glass cage. They did not have lions, but they had cheetahs. And they were behind a fence. They were out in a field, but behind a fence. You could still get a good look at them, and they were beautiful. Like, they were just beautiful. All the animals that came to the car, beautiful. It was just amazing. They would come to your window. You bought feed. You can buy feed. They're little bags of feed for $5 each. I recommend getting that feed because they will make you pay the toll. Those animals, oh yeah, you pay to get in, yes. That's a different fee. The animals are like, they will get in front of your car and they will not move until you throw them some food. And they'll be like, okay, you can go through. It was funny. But, honestly, you want to feed them because you want them to come up to you. You want to get a close look. If you wanted to, you could even touch them. I don't recommend that because you don't know how they're going to react. I don't think they would like many hands on them. I think they're more like, let me look at you, you can look at me, now throw me some food. You know what I mean? The car in front of us, they fed a zebra. That you do not do. They tell you that at the window. Do not feed them with your hand. They can bite. They might mistake your fingers for food, That's common sense. But, fortunately, the man in front of us did not get bitten. The zebra took the food and then he kept going. At that point, that's when the buffalo went up to his car. And I was just in awe. Well, that same buffalo that went to his car passed right by this car, right next to this window, right here on the driver's side. I was holding up my phone. My husband was like almost freaking out, and he kept going in the car. You can go like at least 5 miles an hour. It's not, they tell you not to go any faster than that. And because of that, my camera went into motion, so I couldn't tell if it was recording or taking the picture. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He could have just reached out the window and touched the buffalo. You don't want to do that, but you could have, you know. He looked right at us like to say, hey, you know, and we're just like, hey, hi, how are you doing, sir? Nice to see you, sir. Nice to meet you. Yeah, you know, did you want this car? Did you want the whole bag of food? What you want our wallets? What do you want? You know, and he just kept passing by, you know. It was amazing, you all. And I just looked at it as a glimpse of heaven. Because when we get to heaven, I picture that we're going to be near all the animals like that. Only we'll be able to touch them. And they won't harm us. They won't. When we go back, I want to go back to that zoo. I have not been able to stop thinking about it. Now, when we got back Sunday, yeah. Monday, we heard there was a tornado in that area. Well, my first worry was, are the animals okay? Is the staff okay? Because the staff was very, very friendly. Is the staff okay? You know? Oh my gosh. But everything was good. The animals were good. The staff was good. Nobody was harmed in that area. Thank God. I don't know if they got any flooding. I don't think so, because the zoo is still open. But yeah, there were a couple of places that we were at that got hit by this tornado. And thank goodness we were out of there before all of that happened. I feel bad for the people that were still there, though, that lived there. They got really impacted. Bottom line, I love San Antonio. I don't love the driving. I do not love the traffic. I cannot picture myself driving in that on a daily. I can't even stand the traffic here where I live now. It's 10 times worse over there. And unless we moved to a small town outside of San Antonio, like New Braunfels or something, and everything is close to civilization, well then yeah, you know. But yeah, no, I don't picture myself living there in the city. No, I just can't. I can't do it. Okay, so now that I got that out of the way, next week I'll probably talk about, since I'm not going to have time right now, I'll talk about Pamela from The Walking Dead. I have covered Carol, Deanna, Alpha, Maggie, Michonne. I didn't say much about Jadis, but this time I did print out some stuff on Jadis because, yeah, let me just go ahead and get started on Jadis. And if there's time to go all through Pamela, I will. But that's going to be the closing. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll wait till next Sunday to close it all up. And by the way, I was doing like a little mini series on the leaders, the women that led in The Walking Dead, that were leaders. I'm not including like your Lori, your oh my gosh, what's her name? What's her name? I can't think of it right now. Oh my God, I can picture her, but I can't think of her name. I went blank. She's the one that says, the pain never goes away, you just make room for it. What is her name? Because I'm in a hurry, I can't remember. I can't remember you. I can't remember. Let me put the names away. Okay, so let's talk about Jadis. Jadis. She's a weird person, isn't she? Jadis, to sum her up, she was more like a get in where you fit in. Or, yeah, try to... Oh my God, there's a homeless guy walking right by me. Oh my God, that scared the crap out of me. And he looks like he's so out of it too. Is that the way the saying goes? Try to get in where you fit in, or fit in where you can get in, or something like that. I've heard that expression a lot on YouTube. Yeah, that's Jadis. Jadis was just trying to be a part of a group. Even though she had her own group, which were called the Scavengers, or AKA the Garbage People, and they all lived in a junkyard. Just like everybody else, she created her own community with her own rules. She didn't trust outsiders, which nobody did. And the one thing I never got to the bottom of was their strange way of speaking. You know, when she says, "Take Rick up, up, up," and it's like, what? Did she say up, 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 or up, above? Up above? Up above? Far above? I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what she was saying, but she had her own way of speaking. They had their own way of communicating with each other, and I'm not sure why they did that. I should have asked chat why they did that, you know, because, yeah, that was the one thing I didn't ask. Yeah, she was kind of like always changing, right? Her attitude was always like, I care, I don't care. I care, I don't care. Which was so weird. And I didn't even bring up Negan, how she was with Negan. How she tried to kill Negan. I didn't even bother with that. I completely forgot all about that when I was doing my notes here. I did compare her to Alpha Pamela and of course Jadis, which I'm talking about Jadis. Jadis, yeah, her purpose was the world is dangerous. She wanted to remain detached and to survive. So she was all about what helps me survive, rather than what's the right thing to do. But then she, like I said, she's kind of like back and forth. And she's like, okay, what's going to help me survive? But then, okay, I want to do the right thing. But I'll like you today, but not tomorrow. She was just so all over the place. Now, everybody else they interviewed who could join, right? She didn't really interview anybody. She kind of like just watched people, tested them, judged them whether they were useful or a threat. The garbage people, I'm going to keep calling them the garbage people. She would look at their strength, their skills, and what could they provide to the group, to her community. Now, how these people ended up choosing her, I have no idea, but it is the apocalypse, and everybody's just trying to survive. And who wants to survive the apocalypse alone? I wouldn't. I would look for a community that I could join. But I would be very selective on what community that is, you know? I definitely would not join Jadis' community. She kept outsiders at a distance. She believed trusting people could get them killed. Yep. Jadis, can this person help us survive or will they hurt us? Yep, that was her thinking. Then I asked, why did she betray Rick? Because she was all for helping Rick, if you all recall. She was like, Rick went up to her and she's like, hey, you know, we need your guns. We need your people to help us fight Negan. You know, they're a big threat. They're killing our people. It's only a matter of time before they come in, they kill your people, which they do end up doing, right? Simon ends up going over there and kills all of the community except for Jadis. He leaves her alive. But Rick is asking for help. She says, okay, I'll help you, because they have that in common, which was survival. And they also trusted people. They wanted the better for the people, you know? They both had that in common. However, she does end up betraying him. Remember when they go back to Alexandria and Negan comes over, and that's when he has Sasha in the coffin, if I can recall. I know I've watched this show a billion times and I can't recall everything yet. And they're up on the top of the very top where the fence is at, you know, and all of a sudden she just turns on Rick, and he's like, what? Wait a minute. We had a deal here. What's going on, you know? And she even shoots Rick on the side, just to ricochet the bullet on his side, not exactly kill him, because I think she still cared about him. She cared that he cared about people, you know, the way she did. But she was always looking for that better deal, you know? She was kind of like the people at the flea market. You're going to stall looking for the better deal. Okay, you have that for 30. Well, they have it for 20 over here, so I'm going to get it over here. She was always looking to make a trade that'll benefit her. Not necessarily everybody, but mainly her. You know, she did care about her community, though. I'll give her that. And so why did she betray him? Because she was trying to save her own group and gain security. Oh yeah, that's what she made a deal with Negan. She was like, you know what? Negan's making me a better deal than you, Rick. I'm going with him. He promises us supplies and stuff, and you haven't exactly promised us that. All you said is that you needed our help. You know, that's it. So, yeah, Jadis originally made a deal with Rick's group, but she always was looking for the best chance to survive. Yeah, the better deal. When the Saviors seemed like they had more power, she switched sides and planned to trade Rick and his people to them. She believed the deal would give the Scavengers a better future. She also felt Rick had broken trust with her before, so she stopped seeing him as an ally. Well, yeah, Jadis. Yeah, he couldn't fully trust you because you were like really out there. You would hold him captive and then release him, and then you tried to kill him with another walker, or the walker with a metal head. Yeah, that's why he didn't trust you. The important part about Jadis is that she was not like Alpha, who wanted to hurt people, or Pamela, who wanted to control. I beg to differ there. But Jadis is mostly driven by fear and survival. Her mistake was thinking a deal would protect her, and then that would protect her more than loyalty would. So she was loyal to no one. No, not even Negan. She wasn't even loyal to him. Later, after seeing Rick's actions and experiencing loss herself, she starts changing and realizing people are worth more than just what they can offer. And then, okay, where's the part where I'm missing a page here. I'm missing a page. I'm missing a page. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm missing the page where I wrote my notes on where, is it back here? Did I write it back here? No, of course I didn't. Where she betrayed Rick. Um, she ends up saving him. She ends up saving him after all because she remembers, you know what, Rick was actually a good guy. He really believed in me. He and I have people in common, our communities. We're looking out for our communities. We're looking out for the best of our communities. And I want to say, like, she kind of wanted to be more like him. But at the same time, you know, she couldn't help but just help herself and what was best for her. And that entire time, I thought she was part of the CRM already, the Civic Republic military, but she wasn't. She was just secretly communicating with them. Because again, she was still trying to trade for that better deal. By this point, her people were already killed. So it wasn't even because of her people. It was for her. The main focus of Jadis was survive, survive, survive. Right? So I asked why she handed Rick over to the helicopter people, because I didn't even know what they were called yet. And here it is. She wanted to trade Rick for a better future for herself. Yeah, she wanted a place with the CRM. She thought, if I can get in with them, I will survive this. I will live. I will have something better. I don't have to be scavenging out here for myself, for anyone, for food or anything like that. I will be part of their military. I will be somebody important and seen. She believed that the CRM could give her safety and resources. She saw Rick as someone valuable because the CRM wanted people who could be useful to them. At first, Jadis treated Rick like a trade rather than a friend. But after realizing that Rick had saved her, because he does save her, he does send Father Gabriel to go back for her, if you all recall. Even though she did all that, tried to kill him 2 times, 3 times, you know, Rick is like, hey, you know, we need to get her over here. You know, she's by herself. I know she's by herself. Get her over here. Because Rick, man, I love Rick. He always saw something good in someone, didn't he? No, I didn't agree with him about Negan, but he always saw something good in someone. He always gave people the benefit of the doubt. You know? And let me write that down, because I'm going to put Rick and then I'm going to put Deanna side by side. So when I do the men that led in The Walking Dead, I'm going to compare those two. So anyhow, at first Jadis treated Rick like a trade rather than a friend. But after she realized that Rick had saved her and cared about people, she started to regret what she did. Her story is really about someone who begins by choosing survival or over loyalty. Amen to that. Then slowly learns that value of trust. Oh, she slowly learns the value of trust in relationships. I'm getting nasally. Sorry, y'all. Now in the back, I already mentioned that part. Now, this is a part that I was questioning too. Why does she... What was like the A? Excuse me, I was choking on my water. What was the deal about the A and the B, right? When she's like, I have an A. And then she later changed it to a B. Well, in the CRM, an A was a strong, important leader, strong-willed person. But they were put through a lot. They were treated a lot harsher than a regular person, which is a B. A B is a regular person, a possible recruit. So she called Rick a B because she wanted to protect him from being treated the worst of the worst, which we're not going to get into that show right now, but I do want to talk about it eventually. And later on, we run into Jadis again. Once Rick is taken in the helicopter, Jadis kind of sticks around for a bit, right? And then I don't really recall seeing much of her anymore. She leaves. I didn't ask exactly where she went to. I don't know if she went with the CRM. They took her. I have no idea. Maybe you all know. Maybe you all remember. I don't remember. Even though, once again, I've seen this show a million times. And I still can't remember everything. You can play something to me 1,000,000,000 times. And there will be something that I don't remember. Trust me. But we run into her again in Those Who Live, right? The Walking Dead, Those Who Live. And that's where I really don't want to talk about the show itself yet. We'll get into that later. But she chose the CRM over her old friendship with Rick in The Ones Who Live. Rick suddenly became a threat to her because he wanted to expose the CRM. And she was like, no, I don't want you to expose this place. This place is what's helping me survive. And if you go expose it, they're going to try to get rid of this place. People are going to start to rebel and they're going to start to destroy this place. No, I like it here. I like that they're just like me. They're all about surviving. You know? And it's all about just resource. People are, I don't even know how this is possible, but people are replaceable. If you can't do it, they will find somebody else that can, you know, that'll get on board, if you will. But no, I don't want you to expose this place. So, original Jadis, she'll do anything to survive. The new Jadis in Those Who Live will protect the system because it gave her a place. The system gave her a purpose. Whereas Rick was like, the system needs to be stopped. Rick was always such a good guy. Man, I still can't get over Rick. Yeah, he didn't want anything bad, you know. And I know this wasn't the best of my review of Jadis, but that's the best that I could do because I just did this like a couple of hours ago. Maybe 2 hours ago. But, and I'm not a professional, by the way. I'm not a commentary channel. I'm not one of those channels like reviews episodes of The Walking Dead and all that other stuff, you know. I just wing it over here, as you can tell. Oh, my nose, I'm getting stuffy. And I just forgot what I wanted to say. Perfect. Haha. Let me see what was I saying about Jadis and Rick. About Rick being a good person. Yeah, Jadis. I don't want to I don't know if I should tell you what happens in The Ones Who Live, in case you haven't watched it. And I highly recommend it. It's a mini-series post-Rick, right? It kind of shows you like a follow-up, not a post-Rick. It's a follow-up of Rick to see what happened to him. You find out what happens to him. I'm trying to go around what happens to Jadis in the episode because, you know, so I can make my point, but it's kind of hard. And Jadis didn't have any children like the other leaders did, like Carol, like Michonne, like Maggie, like Alpha, like Pamela. She was on her own, and so she only had to look out for number one. I can kind of see where it messed with her, how the apocalypse messed with her mind. You're put in a situation like that, and your first instinct is to survive. I think if she would have become a member of Rick's group, she would have gotten a lot farther. She would have survived everything like they did. But I can see why she was torn, like how she was confused on her decisions, that she had to make. And I can see how any of them were torn. Like, it's a hard time to be in. You're trying to survive, you're trying to live, where there is no life, where there's just only a few of you left. You're walking among the dead. You're trying not to get eaten by the dead. Supplies are very low to non-existing. And then you have groups to top it off. You have groups that are trying to eat you. You have groups that are trying to kill you. You have groups that want to just intimidate you and bully you and have you work for them. And then you have her group that was behind all this garbage. It's just, wow, I wouldn't even know. I would not even know how to do this, If I were to join Jadis's group for a bit, just to survive a bit, would they have let me gone if I wanted to keep going? Would I be able to have that same thing that she does, where I just survive with them for a little bit and then be able to walk away? I don't think she would have let me. I think they would have made me stay there, or they would have killed me. Deanna's group, I think they would have let me have gone. I would have been able to sneak out of there like Enid. Thank you. Enid. Alpha definitely would have killed me if word got around to her, Moon's trying to leave. She says she wanted to leave. Yeah, she says she don't like you anymore. She says you're a little out there and you're a little psycho, and yeah, she would have killed me, Pamela, I don't think Pamela would have let me leave. She would have been like, nope, no, you can't leave. I'll demote you, but you can't leave, Maggie, she would have let me leave. Maggie would have been like, well, all right, take care. See you when we see you. Carol was always on her own. Michonne, not only would Michonne have let me leave, Michonne left. So I don't even think Michonne would have even cared here or there, But yeah, that's all I got for now. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I know that I'm all over the place, but that's what's fun about my channel, is that I make no sense whatsoever. I'm always unprepared. Even though I try to be prepared, even though I print notes, I write notes behind my notes. I can't even read my writing. Can you read my writing? Because I can't. But that's what makes it fun. And I'm starting to love me the way that I am. At first I used to think man, Moon, you're really missing a couple of brain cells, aren't you? But now I'm kind of that's what makes me fun, though. It's weird. That's what makes me fun, I'm still waiting for my son. I got 4 minutes. 4 minutes, people. Then he's going to go with his dad. And I'm like, why couldn't your dad pick you up? Why couldn't your dad bring you? Oh, no. They're going to go celebrate his aunt's birthday. I didn't even know his aunt had a birthday today. I was with his dad for 10 years, and I didn't even know that his sister's birthday was today. All this time. But I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. They're going to do something at the house and stuff. And I'm all for celebration, And my friend, side note, my friend from church, sometimes I like her, sometimes I don't, right? But I learned something very valuable today. She gave me a birthday gift. And she put a lot of thought into it. She was telling me that she didn't even know what I liked, but she wanted to get me something. And I just kept telling her, oh, you know what? You don't feel like you have to get me anything. What I look for the most, and I'm sticking to this because I've said this before, is connection. I love connecting with people, and that is something that I'm learning from my pastor. My pastor and I are a lot alike. He always had a lot of anger issues. He didn't like people. Hello, I don't like people either, But I've been meeting a lot of different people in my life, and I'm learning to appreciate the differences. Whether I like you or not, I'm learning to appreciate that that's who you are, and I'm not going to judge. If anything, I'm learning, like I said, something very valuable, and that is to extend grace to everyone. Now, it's not easy, but I'm trying, On that note, by the way, really quick, my former neighbor, we were texting on Friday. She wanted to know if somebody had moved into her old apartment. I said, I don't know. I don't look. I have no idea. I saw the landlady here earlier. I asked her something about my husband's remote, and that's it. I didn't even bother to look that direction, if she was showing your apartment or not. And then she says, oh, it's because she was asking me if I had changed the, the pin for the combination lock that's in the closets. Everybody's closet comes with a little combination box in there. And she gives us the pin to get in it. She couldn't get in it. So she was wanting to know from her, hey, did you change it before you left or something? And she's like, no, I didn't even use it, And I'm like, it's possible that the battery ran out like it did with me. I had to replace the battery. And I had to get the main key from her, from the landlady. But anyhow, I didn't know if anybody had moved in or not. And I was telling her this. And then out of nowhere, the neighbor says, I am so tired of working my ass off. I want to meet a rich cowboy. And I was like, why is she telling me this? And I'm like, okay, is it because I have a cowboy in my life that I did not ask for? But too bad, God gave me a cowboy. What am I going to do? Throw him back? No. Take him to this train station? No. I'm keeping him. But I'm like, that's a very specific term that she used. A rich cowboy. Not a rich man. A rich cowboy. And then she proceeds to say, there are a lot of rich cowboys in San Antonio, fully loaded. And I'm like, all right. And I'm still thinking, why is she telling me this? And then I was just like, yeah, well, you could also try Houston. There's many rich cowboys in Houston, And then she says, I think I'm going to go to Hillbillies. There's a club nearby that's called Hillbilly Heaven. And of course, it's like one of those country music clubs, people dance there. They do the hoedown. I don't know what they do in there. I only been there twice and I didn't like it because I can't dance country. But anyhow, she's like, I think I'm going to go there so I can find me my cowboy. And I'm like, well, let me just let you know that there are no good men in clubs, in any club. That's not where you're going to find a good man. So I wouldn't be so quick to want to jump into a club. And she's like, you're right. I think I'm going to go on Catholic Mingle. And I said, why don't you let God choose your mate for you? That kills me, you all. That people go out of their way to choose a mate rather than waiting on your maker to choose the mate for you. On your father. Your father knows who's better for you more than you do. But here's the thing. The fact that she used the term rich cowboy, that kind of gave me an ick, because I'm like, she's falling into that category of women where she is trying to look for the rich man, right? The trade, like Jadis. This goes so well with Jadis. She's trying to see what she can trade to get something better for herself, right? She herself told me she was sick and tired of working her ass off. She wanted to be able to stay home and not have to go to work anymore. Why she chose the word cowboy in there and not just rich man, I don't know. I don't know if I already said that or not. But I'm just going to come out and say it. Let me turn the car on first because it's already getting hot. I'll take a little sip of water. Okay, so I'm just going to come out and say it. And I mean this with the utmost respect. And I'm not saying that she will never find anybody, or she's not capable of finding anybody, you know, or that God's not going to bring somebody to her. But at our age, she is the same age as I am. Okay? At our age, we cannot be picky as to who we want. We can go to God and say, God, I would like a man that puts you first, that's going to be faithful to you, that's going to lead our home with you. You can even ask for specifics. I would like him to be this tall. You know, I would like him to do this for a living. You can ask for specifics. But when it comes to worldly specifics, no. And I know you're saying, well, Moon, isn't that worldly to say, like, you want him 6 feet tall? Isn't that worldly? No, it's just, you know, you're just asking, well, God, if you can, please make him this height, you know? But you're not actually saying, like, I don't want him, God, unless he's 6 foot tall, you know? But to be saying that you want somebody rich, that's too worldly. And you're being unrealistic there. You're no longer young. Maybe at one time you could have had that mindset when you were younger, and you probably could have gotten somebody rich. But you are older now. And your choices are not that big. And I don't mean to be mean by saying that, but your choices are not that big. Listen, at this point of my life, I would be happy just to meet an honest, godly man who puts God first, you know? Like, why am I going to be so picky and be like, oh, he has to look like this, he has to do this for a living, he has to make this much, he has to have this much in his bank account? Because I'm tired. We're all tired, you know? Even I'm tired, and I don't even work. And that's one of the things I told her. Well, I have a cowboy, but he ain't rich. So don't even go there, sister, you know? He's not rich. We're barely making it, you know? He will require you to keep working, you know? that's what I've learned to value now, is to be grateful for what I have. And, my advice to her was, don't go to the clubs. Church, I really would not want to recommend that either, because everybody's going through something at church. You're tempted to look for somebody at church, but again, at our age, we've done live life, and everybody's got a lot of baggage. You know what I mean? When you're younger at church, it's different. You're in high school, you're starting out your life, it's way different. At our age, it is, you just have to be careful, and I would stay clear of the dating sites. Those also, my cousin did those, and she met the worst men on there. She's with one of them to this day. Side note there. Yeah, I would just rely on God. I would be thankful. Listen, she was a nurse for many years. Now she does, she takes care of something like insurance stuff. And she's not on her feet all day. She's sitting down, so I don't know what she's tired of. She makes really good money because she was able to buy a house and buy everything in it, to fill it up with. That's something to be really thankful for there. And sometimes you gotta pray about, like, okay, God, is there something missing in my life that I'm not doing? Like, is there something that you still want to do in me? Is there still a work that you're trying to do in me? Please, show me the way, guide me. And then, I'm a strong believer, seek first his kingdom, and all things will be added unto thee. And I learned that the hard way. I was single for many years. I've spoken about this before. I mean, talk about a drought. I was in that drought, I was in the apocalypse, since we're talking about The Walking Dead, and I was walking among the dead, for many, many years. No dating, no talking to any men or anything. Not by choice, mind you. There was just nobody interested in me, and there was nobody I was interested in. And one day, that one day will come to you if you're single. But you got to wait for that one day. But while you're waiting, don't be thinking about, what can I get from this person one day? Start thinking about, what can I give this person when that one day comes? What can I offer? What can I offer as a woman, as a wife? That is more valuable than the rich cowboy, if you will. And that's all I gotta say. And why my son is taking forever now, I have no idea. But that's all I gotta say today. Hopefully you all made it this far. I don't even know how long this video is. But thank you for sharing this afternoon with me. It is an hour and 13 minutes. Oh my God. Thank you for sharing this afternoon with me. I really appreciate it. And again, if you're wondering why she's still talking about The Walking Dead, it helps me deal with my life. I'm going through a lot. I always go through a lot. This really helps clear my mind, and it makes me feel good inside. If I could start a podcast, I would. I don't even know how to do that because I don't even know how to talk. But I would, just to help others that are struggling in life. And if they're a big fan of the show, I'm pretty sure they'll have the same feeling as I do right now. Anytime that I finish talking about it, I feel good about it, But anyhow, next week will be our last week with the women. I don't know how I'm going to do the men. I'm going to have to figure out a way because my son's no longer going to come to lessons. I'm not going to be in my car for a whole hour anymore. But I'll figure it out. And we'll keep talking about it. will keep talking the dead. Or I will talk to you till your death. I don't know. You know? Whatever comes first. I don't know. And I'm just kidding about that, by the way. I'm just trying to make a joke out of it. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the rest of your week if I don't make another video. And I will talk to y'all again soon.